Okay. Hey everybody, it's that fantasy chick back again after a long absence. You have to excuse me. It is hot underneath these lights, so I have to have a fan on me right now. But yeah, it's been a while. It's been a long while. And I needed to come back because I saw Deadpool and Wolverine Friday. At the very first show that the theater in my neighborhood showed. I don't know why they don't show movies at 11 a.m. anymore, but their first show was at 1. So I had to be amongst people. But thankfully, I wasn't right next to people. But after seeing Deadpool and Wolverine Friday, I was like, okay, we have to talk about this. So, you know how I like to start things off with an article? I have one on the box office, which was out of this world. I didn't realize it was, I didn't realize the box office was this huge. So, box office, Deadpool and Wolverine lands sixth biggest opening of all time with 211 million, makes R-rated history. The Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman superhero pick smashed numerous records both domestically and overseas for a stunning global launch of 441 million. 444.1 million. The Merc with a Mouth is back on the big screen, and he's a Marvel. He's been wanting to be a Marvel since the beginning, I think. So this is like big dreams come true for him. Directed by Sean Levy, in close collaboration with franchise mastermind and star Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool and Wolverine opened to a record-shattering 211 million at the domestic box office, landing the sixth biggest opening of all time for any film, and by far the biggest launch for an R-rated film, according to the final numbers. That's up from Sunday's estimate of 205 million, which would have made it the eighth biggest opening of all time. The first Deadpool was the previous R-rated record holder at 133.7 million. The jump from 205 to 211 million is a big one and underscores how the movie is outpacing all modeling. Put another way, Sunday traffic was far bigger than expected. Deadpool 3 also shattered records for an R-rated pick on a global scale, opening to 233.1 million internationally from 55 material markets for a worldwide start of 441.1 million, up from Sunday's estimate of 438.3 million. So they're breaking all estimates. Among additional records domestically, the film is the top opening ever for Reynolds, Levy, and co-lead Hugh Jackman, and the fourth biggest superhero launch. It's also the top July opening, as well as the biggest launch since Spider-Man No Way Home in December 2021, when the Sony Marvel pick opened to 260.1 million domestically. Oh, wow. I'm not going to read that whole article. They do a whole lot of talking about a whole lot of things that I don't really care about. But I just wanted to get into, smashing, just I just wanted to start off by talking about how big this movie was this weekend. And I knew it was going to be big. I didn't know it was going to be this big. I didn't know it was going to be this big. I didn't know it was going to be this good. I do go into movies without expectations to make the movie going experience better for me. So I had not seen any trailers. I had not looked at any photo stills or images from the films. I didn't even watch unrelated related commercials like you know, how big blockbusters get the sponsorships or whatnot, and then the stars are in commercials and blah 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 blah. And my sister was starting to tell me about a commercial she seen with Deadpool and Wolverine, and I was like, you know what, I don't want to hear about it. And she was like, but it's not from the movie, and I was like, I don't care. I want to hear about it. I want to be completely fresh because even hearing about how they interact in the commercial probably would have given me an idea of their interaction in the movie. I like to be completely fresh. So, uh, yeah. So on to Deadpool and Wolverine. There are so many reasons why this movie shouldn't have worked. Um, because when you're going there, it feels like, the phrase, because, like one thing I learned long ago, when you're cooking spaghetti, to tell if the spaghetti is cooked, you throw it against the wall and see if it sticks. And so there's this phrase about just throwing whatever at the wall and seeing what sticks. And that's what this film felt like. It felt like they threw a whole bunch of different things at the wall, and somehow they all stuck. They all stuck. Every single thing they threw at the wall stuck. It was amazing. And this is also, and it was amazing for a very contradictory reason, because it was the star, Ryan Reynolds, was heavily involved in the making of this movie. He didn't just star in this movie. He was a part of, I think he's counted as one of the writers. He's counted as he's credited as a writer on this, and he's definitely heavily involved with the marketing. Probably was his idea to bring in Hugh Jackman. I don't know. I can't say. I didn't read any articles, so I don't know. Especially when we first found out that Hugh Jackman was going to be in Deadpool, I didn't read anything because I didn't want to hear any accidental synopsis of the movie. So I don't know who brought that in, but I just feel like he had a hand in it. But normally, when you have a star, when you have a big A-list Hollywood star, having them have so much creative control over a project can bring you some not so good results. Like sometimes it's good to have them be in there and say, okay, I want to do this. I don't want to do that. I want to work with this person. I don't want to work with that person. Sometimes that works. Sometimes that helps. Sometimes you have an instance where the star is just so big and their interference is just so unneeded. And for me, a big example of this would be the Tom Cruise and the Mummy movie. Now, Tom Cruise is a big star. Tom Cruise is heavily involved in his Mission Impossible movies. And you could say he's one of the reasons why that franchise is so popular, so good, so successful. But then he tried to bring that on to the Mummy, and all of the changes that he made to the Mummy franchise just didn't fit with his type of stardom. Like everybody has a lane. And when you recognize your lane and when you recognize what your lane works with, you do awesome. Keanu Reeves knows his lane. Keanu Reeves works well with his lane. And his movies, whether they are critical or box office successes, are always good. It's one of the reasons why John Wick works so well. John Wick is dab smack in the middle of Keanu Reeves' lane. And he leans into his lane. And I think that's what you get with Ryan Reynolds and Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds was perfect for Deadpool. And he's like, this is my lane. And he knows what goes in his lane, and he knows what works well in his lane. And that's what you see on Deadpool and Wolverine. And that's what you just did not get with Tom Cruise and The Mummy, because Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible works well within his lane because he's, everything has to be on his shoulders. Everything has to revolve around him. He has to be the big spectacle. But The Mummy is supposed to be the spectacle. Everything is supposed to rest on the Mummy's shoulders. And he just didn't fit there, especially when he brought in his own writers to rewrite this, and for whatever reason, I do not know why, he asked them to rewrite his character and make his character significantly younger than he is. And I was like, everybody knows how old you are. Why are you making this character younger than you? There is no real reason for this character to be younger than you, other than ego. And again, like I said, the spectacle is supposed to be on the Mummy's shoulders. Like, the Mummy was good. The girl who played the Mummy, she was good. But at some point in the Mummy, Tom Cruise becomes the Mummy. Because everything has to revolve around him. And as you can see, that movie did not do well. And the Dark Universe fell apart. And they spent so much time in The Mummy building up the Dark Universe. And, instead of just having a movie, they had to introduce all these elements and blah, 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 blah. It felt like the movie just stopped cold while they were introducing these elements. It wasn't a good fit. So yeah, this was very good. Because like I said, Ryan Reynolds knows his lane. Ryan Reynolds knows what works in his lane. And with Deadpool, you have like the things you're going to expect. You're going to expect fourth wall breaking. You're going to expect gore. My sister, who I've had on here before, not the one who likes scary movies and action movies. The other one, we took her to see the actual Mummy, The Mummy, and it was too much for her. There was a child sitting in front of her, calm just cool as a cucumber, calm as could be. And my sister was screaming like a banshee behind this child because she couldn't take the Mummy. I was like, you would not like this. This is too much gore. This is not your type of movie. But and truthfully, I love Wolverine, but one of the things that I hate knives and being cut up in movies. I hate seeing people being cut and stabbed in movies. So his claws, his adamantium claws, always scared the mess out of me because I'm like, I don't want to see people get clawed to death. But all his other movies, I think maybe except one, were PG-13. So I was like, okay, I can kind of take this, even though the PG-13 was a little too much for me. But so I completely forgot. It's like I was just so excited. I want to see this Deadpool movie. Wolverine's going to be it. Forgot about the fact that it's R-rated, which means it's filled with gore, and now you're going to have Wolverine gore, which I always try to avoid. But despite that, me being a little squeamish about the Wolverine gore, it was it was kind of awesome. Um, I remember years ago, I was talking to someone about oops, I gotta plug my computer in. Just started and it already has to ugh. Okay. So I was talking to someone about I wanted to write a certain script where these two indestructible characters fight. And I wanted to see that. I wanted to see these two, like I was like, these two characters, they can't be destroyed. They're indestructible. And I wanted to see the battle out. And the person who I was talking to told me, you can't do that. It's going to be boring. If they can't be hurt, there's no stakes and blah, 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 blah. And in my head, I was like, no, it's going to work. It's going to work. And Deadpool and Wolverine proved that it works. You have these two indestructible people going at it. They can do anything to each other because nothing is going to truly hurt them except for, taking off their head, but they never go that far. So it's just them doing whatever they can to each other, like everything they have in their wheelhouse, they're able to pull out against these main characters. You normally can only do that against, lesser characters. The main character, you can only you go up to a certain point because you gotta leave them sort of untouched. But they let loose. And the thing was, it was exciting watching it. It was uh yeah, so I was naming off the things that you get. You get the fourth wall breaking, you get the gore, you get lots of fan service. And that fight between Deadpool and Wolverine was filled with fan service. Like he even broke the fourth wall multiple times to talk about fan service. But it didn't feel overdone. Because sometimes you could be like, okay, I get it. But I felt like he did it just enough. He never overdid it. It was always, I felt like, I don't know, he's really, really good and really comfortable being Deadpool. Like he knows exactly what this character will will do, how far this character will go, and he knows how to play within that. And it was perfect. There was a lot of fan service in this movie. From all the cameos, every single cameo was a fan service, except for one. One cameo was a service to the plot, and it's tied back in with Loki. But the show, because like people were going around saying, after this was out, they was like, oh, if you haven't seen Loki or a million other superhero films, you will not be able to follow Deadpool. That is a lie. That is a lie. And I'm the type of person who I just don't like to be spoiled over certain things. Um, the only thing it really does lean on is the conclusion of season 2 of Loki. So if you haven't seen the conclusion of season 2 of Loki, then yes, you will be spoiled for that. But you will be able to follow along. They do a good job of explaining things. And because there were some things that there were characters who I forgot about, because there was a lot of cameos, and some of them major cameos. Oh my gosh. we were in the theater. Okay, this is where it was good that I wasn't alone because we were in the theater. Everybody was like, oh, oh, oh. we were just clapping and screaming at the people with the moment they showed up on screen and they had their music. And although one character was a recast, um, I still I still like that character. Um, I was, yeah, because I'm pretty sure he was in. I'm pretty sure he was in the Wolverine movie. I have to look that up. But yeah, it was just, yeah, you could tell it was fan service by the way we as an audience reacted to every moment of fan service. We ate that up. We absolutely ate every single fan service moment up. And like I said, there were some things that I forgot about that the movie did a good job of explaining. There were things that appears that you would think had come before, but they hadn't. They were introduced brand new in this film. And because I'm like, I've watched all the movies. This has never been mentioned before. So I really don't think you need to I really don't think you need to have seen all the every Marvel Fox movie, and they make a lot of references to both Fox and Disney. And there was a lot of good jokes about they actually they actually show the 20th Century Fox logo sunk into the sand like it's just dead and gone. And they saw this in the void. And of course you would have to know low key to know what the void is. So well, the void was introduced in low key, but again, they explained the void in the movie. So so yeah, they explained it. They explained how these things work, and they even brought back, this the thing in the void, blah 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 blah. That could kill people, but um, well, I guess they couldn't. I was like, truthfully, I wanted to see what happened to he who remains, but I guess they did sort of show that in Loki that he was what do you call that with the dead body? Oh, when the dead body deteriorates. I don't know why I can't think of the word, but like yeah, he was just sitting there dead, and naturally they couldn't bring back Jonathan Major. So um, I'm trying to think. Okay, that's another thing. Another thing I forgot because, like I said, I've watched these movies and I watched Logan years ago when it first came out. I love Logan. Never watched it again, so I forgot that Wolverine died at the end. So when you start at the beginning and they're talking about, okay, so how are we going to have Wolverine in this movie? And I'm like, oh, you're right, he's dead. What are they going to do? And that's when Loki comes in and they bring in the TVA. I mean, not Loki, actual Loki, but Loki, the TV show, and the TVA from the Loki TV show that was introduced in the Loki TV show. But again, not having seen, if you've never seen Loki at all, you would not miss. You would like eventually they introduce themselves as Time Variance Authority, his crimes and blah 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 and this and that. They even they talk about the sacred timeline and how their objectives have changed um, since the end of season 2. But yeah, I will admit, going back to fan service, when we had the trio of cameos and the woman came up, kind of hoping her counterpart was in it too. Because I'm like, if I didn't hear about her, he, you know, he's not with DC anymore. He can come on over to Marvel again or come back to Marvel. Yeah, I I was kind of hoping he would come up, but instead we got, you know, the recast. But okay. So I don't want to go into I don't want to say the names of the cameos. But if you've seen the movie, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Because it's still very early, so I don't want to hate. I hate spoiling things. I do want to talk about this, but I don't want to spoil like major surprises. But I do want to talk about. But I did talk. Mostly about what I loved about this movie. How about how it shouldn't have worked. It really shouldn't have worked. There was so much going on in this movie. There was so much going on in this movie, but it's a great example of when you know and understand the source material and the main characters, you can do very great things. Like I said, this movie could have been awful. It could have been really, really awful. But people are saying it's saving Marvel because it's so good and it's doing so well. It could possibly save Marvel. And I mean, I look at it two ways. It's definitely helped revive Marvel. In order for it to save Marvel, it has to start a domino effect with all the movies after it and make change afterwards. Kind of like let's go to DC, Wonder Woman. And the movies that came after it, which was Aquaman and Shazam. You know, Wonder Woman was bright, colorful, upbeat, and so were the movies that came after it, Aquaman and Shazam, and they were successful. So you had like in order for you to be like, oh, it saved Marvel, it has to affect change. But it definitely revived it because it's bringing in money. People are happy again with Marvel. People are definitely happy with this movie. So I'd say it revived Marvel. It's too soon to say it saved it. Um, and people will be like, well, what's the difference? The difference is it's easy for this movie to come in and make a splash and then for it to go exactly back to where they were before. If they go back to where they were before, they're not saved. But they did have a brief revival with Deadpool and Wolverine. So we have to see what happens after this. And truthfully, what in Deadpool and Wolverine can be what do you call it? used or utilized in any other film, because like Deadpool is a very unique film. So what could they take from Deadpool and Wolverine to sort of save Marvel and bring it back to its previous glory? And I'd say, despite all of your major fan service cameos, despite its connection to Loki, it was a very, because it's still connected to the greater Marvel universe, but that connection to the greater Marvel universe is what brought back Wolverine. It's not a part of this whole, oh, phase 5, phase 6, phase 7.5. It didn't even have an after credit scene that connected to the next movie, and it wasn't setting up another movie. It was within the universe, but it was still self-contained. And I think we love the universe, which is the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, was awesome, but I think the universe started to become bigger than its parts. And you need to focus on those parts more than the universe. The universe is great to be there, but it shouldn't take over. Like, everything shouldn't be about the universe. It should be about this character. I feel like what needs to change is the movies that are dedicated to the overarching universe should be Avengers movies. Those movies should be dedicated to the overarching universe, because that those movies bring everyone together and it makes sense. But your solo movies should be solo and self-contained, and they should not have the universe crouching in and having them set up for future movies or having them set up for the Avengers movies. It doesn't have to do that. The solo movie should be only about the character, them and their villain and their universe. And then, down the line, if they join the Avengers movie, they join an Avengers movie. And I think that will help. I think that could help save Marvel if they do that. So, I don't want to go on too long. Just came on to give you my thoughts and why I thought this movie was great without giving too much plot information. If you want to talk deeper into plot and what specifically happened, like, because a lot happened. We could definitely come back and get to a deeper talk. But just overarching, ideas. I loved it. I loved that they didn't even bring back the Logan Wolverine, because truthfully, when he died, his character arc died with him. So I didn't understand. Like, I don't know if the Logan that appeared in this film, if he's from the comics, if this is actually something that happened. I don't know. But I'm glad that they brought him, because he was able to have an arc and contributed, and it was just really cool. Oh, one thing I have to talk about. Ooh, Hugh Jackman. I've always loved Hugh Jackman. And I remember him saying before that he didn't like he started off really slim, and it took him until the not Logan, but the last sort of like Wolverine movie to get as big as he really wanted to be. Boy, let me tell you, he was something else in this movie. And of course, there is a scene where he is shirtless, and then Deadpool just couldn't let it lie. He had to. I don't know if he said something or if he just gave a look, but he definitely commentated on Wolverine's body. And let me tell you something, I enjoyed seeing it very much. I don't know how old Hugh Jackman is. I feel like I've been watching him half my life as Wolverine. And at this point, sir, sir, yes, you're good. You're very good. Ah, something when I looked, I went into there's okay, so since they go into the void, whenever you go when the part of the TVA time variance authority is there's going to be multiple versions of each person. And in the TV show, we saw multiple Lokis. So in this movie, we saw multiple Deadpools. And one of the Deadpools is a lady Deadpool played by who? Blake Lively. Blake Lively was Lady Deadpool. I, I I feel like I recognized her voice, but I don't know. It didn't. I was like something about it is familiar, but it didn't click in the movie theater until I went, and it was like, oh my goodness. So we have Deadpool and Lady Deadpool. I thought that was adorable. Um, and then so we got the multiple Deadpools. I'm trying to think. Oh, the music. The music is they bring up most. It's like that's another quality you're gonna get is throwback music. And I mean, most of it was like 2000s, mid 2000s. But they did go back to the 90s with a big with a big Madonna hit. And I must say, um, they actually recorded, some parts of the Madonna song specifically for the movie. And a friend of mine from LA was a part of the choir who sang on the Madonna song. And I was like, oh my gosh. So after the movie came out, she showed all the behind the scenes pictures and videos and blah, 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 blah. And she named off all of the members of the choir separately because they just get this one name. So she gave them all their separate credits because their name didn't make it into the credits, which was good, which was cute. So all of them, oh goodness, the opening scene is a fight slash dancing. I have never laughed throughout an entire opening fight scene before, but I did here. I laughed so much in this movie. So much in this movie made me laugh. The opening scene where he was doing, I think it, look, I don't know these. I don't know the difference between these boy bands. I think it's Backstreet Boys. I think it could have been NSYNC. I don't know. It could have been 98 Degrees. I think it was Backstreet Boys. And he was doing the Backstreet Boys choreography. Crazy. Okay. But I'm gonna let that go for now. And so we're gonna end. I don't know what other. I mean, the next movie I'm looking forward to seeing is Beetlejuice 2. I can't think of anything before Beetlejuice 2 that I wanted to see. Because I didn't go see Twisters. I didn't go see that. And I still have to watch Acolyte. I may binge watch House of the Dragon, but I haven't been watching. I haven't cared. And although, you know, people on my timeline they're up in arms, I haven't cared. The last thing I really binged watched was Bridgerton, and we don't talk about that here. So yeah, if something big comes up, or if you really, really, really want to talk about House of the Dragon and want to make me binge watch it, let me know. It's no longer called Community, it's just called Post. Let me know under one of my posts, and we'll work it out, and we'll come back and we'll talk some more. Okay, that is all. It's been good to talk about Deadpool and Wolverine. But yeah. In the meanwhile, thanks for watching.